Tri-City Sports Now. I think you may have heard something right there. I am Marky Bilson, and joining me on the line, hasn't been on in a while because, well, it's not hockey season. But the Nashville Predators have been making, including two in the last 24 hours, some big signings, as well as some former Predators stars signing with new teams that we've talked about. It's the air conditioner. It's the air conditioner league. You've heard people talk about the hot stove league in baseball. This is the air conditioner league in hockey, which certainly seems to be growing in the area with the Predators' success. But you see Soros signing, what is it, a 3-year, $4.5 million contract just last night. I want to ask you, Alex Daugherty of OnTheForecheck.com, does this mean that Pekka Rinne is on the block?
Definitely not. No, Pekka Rinne is the starter. He has $7 million to be owed this year under and it's the final year of his big contract he signed in 2012. And I think this is a huge signing for the Predators to get Juuse Saros at that price. I mean, he was arguably one of the top 20 or 25 best goaltenders in the league last year, and they're getting him at really a bargain at only $1.5 million a year. It gives him 3 years. He's still an RFA at the end of it, so they can renegotiate and they have pretty much cost control over Saros for the next 4 years or so, and it means that they trust him to be to take the baton when Pekka Rinne leaves. Now, it also opens the possibility that Rinne could sign sort of a 1-year, maybe a 2-year extension. Certainly not at $7 million, but something like that in order to back up potentially, because I think Saros at that point in a couple of years will be the number one. I think there's no doubt about that. He'll have the experience and have the ability. So no, I don't think it does anything to Pekka Rinne. I don't think he's on the block at all. I don't think they're in any mood to trade their franchise best goaltender in the middle of a cup run. So I don't think that'll happen.
Okay, but with that said, you did mention that, Saros, and we've all heard, he's the goalie of the future. We talked about this during the playoffs or in the game after the playoffs. You liked them putting in Saros for Rinne in the 7th game against the Jets. I despised the move. And it got me to thinking, well, what is Rinne's future? So do you think that, say, not in 2018-19, but maybe 2019-20, that it's Saros between the pipes and Rinne trying to be the veteran catching on, much like, say, Marc-Andre Fleury did with the Golden Knights, only probably not be drafted, but he would be on another team trying to lead them to similar success, is the point. Do you see this as the last year for Rinne?
I don't. I think that he probably signs a 1-year deal to extend his time in Nashville by 1 more year. The number on that could be anything. I wouldn't be surprised if the Predators overpay to keep him around for a year, but I think it would be pretty understood at that point, especially after this upcoming season. He's probably going to be the backup at that point, so he would have to be okay with that.
Okay.
The thing is, I think he's perfectly okay with that. I don't think there's any. There is never been a point in Pekka Rinne's career as a hockey player that he has had more support by the organization. And I think that bond between the Predators and Pekka Rinne has never been higher. I think that there's more there now than there ever has been, considering where the team has been in the past. So.
I know you say that. I just, it seems to me that if there was, that they would allow you to play past 10 minutes after the score is 2-0. I mean, I just, I know you've said that before on the show and all this, and you've got the inside view, but the action there did not back up feeling of confidence, in my opinion.
I got to give you credit. You're holding on to that narrative, and I think you're the only one. So
I will, hey, I am going to do it, and the man won the Vezina Trophy. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't get pulled after the 2nd inning. I mean, is my sort of way, if I can make a baseball analogy and all that. And by the way, very deserving that he won the.
Baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the baseball analogy is actually pretty good. I mean, I don't know everything about Clayton Kershaw's career, but I would imagine he's been pulled from a game early before and been criticized. But that doesn't mean he's not, the best pitcher in baseball or the best pitcher for the Dodgers, or pick any pitcher. It doesn't have to be Kershaw. Pick any pitcher.
No, I get that, but do you
got pulled from a couple games. So.
It's the 7th game of the World Series of the playoffs, and Kershaw hangs a curveball, and suddenly the other team is up 3-0 in the second. Do you immediately start warming up your bullpen, or do you say, well, this is probably the best guy that we have, he's the girl that we brought to the dance, that sort of thing. I mean, when he's...
I think what you're saying is that after that happens, that Kershaw would be on the trading block, and I don't see any... I mean, knowing the Predators from day one, they have been the most loyal team in terms of their players and their homegrown talent. I mean, they kept Barry Trotz on the team for 16 years. They had the same general manager the whole time through, even though they did not have success the whole time. Once they find something they like and they want to stick with, they do not give it up very easily. And Pecorino is just one other part of that.
What was your opinion of Trotz going and taking the Capitals to the Stanley Cup, and then, now for all this, he was one of the lower paid coaches, so now he's coaching the New York Islanders. What was your opinion of that whole breakdown, Alex Daugherty, on the forecheck?
I think it was the writing was on the wall for a while. I think it was just the fact that his contract was up. The Capitals were unsure of where the future was going to be, and obviously they didn't know they were going to go on and make a crazy run for the Stanley Cup like they did. But I think that I would imagine that by middle of the year last year, they'd already decided, we're going to move on. We're ready. We're not ready to keep going with Trotz as a coach. And I think the Islanders will be the beneficiary of that. I mean, Trotz has proven that he can go in almost any scenario. He can go to a team that's laden with superstar talent like the Capitals. He can go on a team that has virtually nothing to go on like he did with the Predators early on, and make success in those scenarios. So I think with the Islanders, they definitely got a lot of work to do, but I think they'll be pretty good. I wouldn't be surprised if they make the playoffs next year.
Okay, so you like them to go around. And to me, I mean, I know this is old school because the Islanders, what have they done in the last, generation, really? But when I think of that franchise, when I started watching hockey, I mean, they were in their run of the 4 straight cups, Bossy and Billy Smith and Kelly Ruda and all those guys, Brian Trottier. Yeah, I mean, it was a wonderful team. And, it's like, if you will, the Steelers never won after their 4 Super Bowls in the 70s. I mean, that's sort of the way it has been with the Islanders and such. So I'd like to see the Islanders do well. I mean, I'd like to see them do that. Of course, now they're kind of the Brooklyn Islanders, and that's a little tough to take. The team of Long Island playing in Brooklyn, and I know everybody hated the Nassau County Coliseum, but even so, it's just a little bit. The Dodgers moved to Los Angeles because they didn't want to move to Queens. I mean, they thought that there was going to be just as big of a move. So it's a little bit, what about this and all that? Anyway, new goalie was not the only signing of the day. For a relatively cheap amount, $879,000, a role player was signed, Ryan Hartman. And, he had played for the Predators. He had some, he played with the Blackhawks and the Predators last year, had 6 points in 21 games in Nashville. But what do you think his role is going to be this year with, the roster changes and all that? Is this going to be a third line forward, or where can we look for Ryan Hartman in the 2018-2019 Predators?
Yeah, he's definitely a bottom 6 player, but he's pretty versatile. He can go in a lot of places. He's got some speed. He's got some ability with the puck. He can play defensively. He can play on the penalty kill. He can even put them on a power play if he wanted to. But he's not going to be a huge part of this. And I think that the contract they got, the Predators signed him for, is perfect. I mean, a 1 year sort of let's see what you got kind of contract where he can go out and prove. Because to be honest, I think long term he's more of a $2 or $3 million player. He's got
So what you're telling me is that maybe Ryan Hartman has a chance to be a breakout player because he's playing for a contract.
Absolutely. Yeah,
23
years. Contract year for sure.
23 years old. Intriguing. Remember the name then, Ryan Hartman, for the Predators next season. But they also made some acquisitions, signing some free agents: Blackwell, Ronaldo, Brickley, Colin Blackwell, Zach Ronaldo, and Connor Brickley. My question here is, where do these guys set up? Can any of these guys be on the top two lines of the Predators in this upcoming season?
Really, those moves were more about building up the Milwaukee Admirals, except for the Zach Ronaldo signing, which, to be honest, is probably the worst signing the Predators have ever made. I mean, he's neither a prospect nor a good hockey player, nor a good role model for the hockey organization, because the guy that's been suspended for 25 games in the league multiple times, has admitted to trying to concussing players like he did with Chris Letang a few years back, got suspended in the AHL while being suspended from the NHL. So Zach Ronaldo doesn't make any sense. I don't really understand why they signed him. But the other guys are some decent young forwards. That Rocco Grimaldi's another one that are decent prospects. That it was really about bulking up the Milwaukee Admirals. If you look at the Admirals, they did not have a very good season last year. They were they needed some help in the forward market, and I think that was really all about.
All right, so guys, we saw the transactions. Now it's sort of like, who is this guy right there? And interesting take on Ronaldo. I've told this story before, but it is about, as hockey tries to sell itself and what they have to do. Yeah, I would like to see a few less Ronaldos or Dan Carcillos or somebody like that. Due to the fact, I remember once years ago around here making a reference to Mario Lemieux, and the other person had no idea who that was. And I said, well, he's a famous hockey player. Oh, all I know about hockey is they fight. Slapshot may be my favorite movie. It is. But still, that I realized right then was how detrimental the sport, that fighting had been to the sport. And, it's really only there in the NHL and maybe the junior leagues, high schools.
On that note, Ronaldo doesn't even fight frequently. He just goes after people's heads. And I just don't, the argument about reducing concussions, I'll tell you one thing that's guaranteed not to reduce concussions in the league is to allow players to play who all they do is go after people's heads. Like, that's not going to help. So I'm with you there. Mario Lemieux had to battle concussion and head injury after another throughout his career. But the way to do that is not to just have another player on the team that's going to go concuss someone else. It's to really punish people who do that. So.
And as an old Penguins fan, and the way that the games were called with Gretzky versus Lemieux, and I know it sounds like, oh, here's somebody complaining about officials, which I absolutely despise, but it was well known. Lemieux, 6'4", 220, he's a big boy, he can take care of himself. Meanwhile, you'd have a Marty McSorley, and so we can't have anyone touch the golden boy. There really was, back in the day, a lot of that sentiment in the National Hockey League. And, I remember once, just with the feelings like one year, All-Star game, we have the baseball All-Star game today, Lemieux beat out Gretzky in the voting, and Lemieux offered to give up his starting spot. And they said it was the right thing to do. That was the respect that Gretzky had, and you were also going to get that on the ice and all that. So yeah, that. But anyway, Hockey History 101 with Marky Bilson talking to Alex Daugherty of On the Forecheck. I wonder, one free agent signing that I really noted was Neal. James Neal signing with the Calgary Flames.
Yeah.
He's won everywhere he's gone. Does this mean that the Flames are the Predators' biggest competition for the Western Conference Championship this year? How's that going to relate to the Flames?
Like the signing for James Neal, I think he'll be successful there. I don't think that the Calgary Flames are a James Neal away from really team. They had problems with goaltending. They had problems with their defense. They really actually kind of did a lot of trades to try to revamp their team. Maybe they'll be okay, but I don't think that he will be the difference. Neal is, he's as consistent a goal scorer as there is in the league. He
Well, the other thing, I've often talked about the Predators as being a really potential glamour team for the NHL. I've said, they could be the Lakers, that sort of thing, with all the celebrities going to games. So let me ask you this. What about this trade? Lindsey Vonn for Carrie Underwood.
It seems pretty good. I mean, I don't know that Lindsey Vonn has the pull in Nashville, obviously, that Carrie Underwood does, but yeah, it's a pretty fun little adventure that the PK Subban has been on this summer. They've been going everywhere. He's been Instagramming and tweeting all kinds of videos, and they seem to be quite an item. So I think people are on board. Like I said, it's not Carrie Underwood. I mean, she probably never will be. I mean, there's just a pull that Carrie Underwood has in Nashville that supersedes hockey. So.
Yeah, I can see that. Yes, the country singer from Texas against the wonderful skier and all that. But yes, when I saw that, I was like, okay, here's another celebrity and all this, and maybe Subban didn't win the Norris Award, the James Norris Trophy, but he won a trophy in a different regard, certainly, with Lindsey Vonn. I don't think there's any question about that. And yes, ice sports. Hey, the winter sports. Why do I like the Winter Olympics more than that? All right, it's the off season. We've got now, any other big time moves in the NHL that have really caught your eye this off season? Alex Daugherty of OnTheForecheck.com.
Well, in the Central Division, the St. Louis Blues are going to be a lot better next year. Their big problem with center depth, and they got Ryan O'Reilly, they got David Perron back, and they got I'm blanking on the last guy from Toronto. But anyways, they built their center depth, and they're going to be a force next year. The only issue is if their goaltending can carry them. The Chicago Blackhawks are apparently on the hunt for a good goal scorer like Jeff Skinner. So if they get them, if they land a good goal scorer like that, they'll be back in the mix of things. Dallas Stars are always solid. So, but here's the thing: the Predators, from the day the season ended, have maintained that they are perfectly comfortable going into next season with almost the exact same roster. And I got to say, there's not really a big argument against that, because that roster won them the President's Trophy and the number one seed overall. So that's a pretty good bet to be a pretty good roster. But when everyone else, it's a moving target every season. When everyone else gets better around you, you've got to make some sort of move. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do make one final move towards the beginning of the season. Maybe something to build up their defensive depth. Maybe something to build up their forward depth. I'm not sure, but. They might want to consider doing something, because everyone else is getting better in the Central Division, and that division's already really tough.
Yeah, and I mean, absolutely. You go and you win the President's Trophy, and you only make it out of the second round of the Jets. I mean, yeah, absolutely. We understand exactly what you're talking about. This is, but that's hockey, and yeah, that's one of the reasons why. We talk about the off season here and see what's going on, but there is that feeling sometimes of, okay, it's the postseason when we really start watching this with two fists. And I'm making that point because I've noticed that since baseball now has as many playoff rounds as does the NHL, and for that matter the NBA too, just how much the regular season has been devalued. It's the All-Star Game day today. And yeah, the baseball season has become quite like the hockey season, where you start looking at individual records and your fantasy teams and all that. But yeah, it's the playoffs now where you really start to look and see what's going to happen. And so, yeah, we're 10 months away, or I guess 9 months away from those playoffs in the Western Conference in the Central Division. But this is here now. This is what we talk about now in Tennessee sports and such. The Nashville Predators, President's Cup, still looking for the elusive Stanley Cup, and you can read about all their moves on OnTheForecheck.com. It's a free site. It's run by my guest Alex Daugherty. He's got the skinny on UC Soros, on Ryan Hartman, etc., etc. So check it out. I want to thank you for joining me here today on Tri-City Sports Now. And yeah, maybe one day, who knows, maybe one day they can build the new arena in Tri-Cities. And what do you think, Predators ECHL team here? Would you like that?
Oh, that'd be great. I would come out and watch the game.
That would be, that's sort of my dream right there. Either that or the Hurricanes or what have you, or just any ECHL team, the new arena, ETSU, playing hoops there, new concerts coming in. You get the idea. Alex Daugherty on theforecheck.com. I'm Marky Bilson, Tri-City Sports Now.
All righty.
Thank you very much.